Hello there, it's Diorama Don here once more. Welcome everybody, almost forgot. So we've got a train crossing, a level crossing. I don't know, in UK we would say a level crossing. I'm not quite sure, a railroad crossing perhaps in US. Just an idea for a diorama. Makes it a little more interesting than just the tank standing on a plinth. So we'll get into the video and I'll show you how I went about making it. Before then, I almost forgot. Please subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell and the like button. And should you be inclined, I've instigated the thanks button. But that's entirely up to you. The main thing, please subscribe. Okay, so we'll get on with the video and see how I went about making it. So I'll start off with a piece of 2mm card. 2mm is the optimum measurement really for card because it's so easy to cut with a good sharp craft knife, and it's quite sturdy when it's all when you make what you're going to make with it, if you see what I mean. And I've cut this piece to 14 inches, which is 36 centimetres by 9 inches or 23 centimetres. Now what I want is for a tank, my Sherman tank, to be approaching a rail crossroads. Rail crossing? Level crossing. In UK we would call it a level crossing, a railroad crossing. So that's why it is that size, with just the train line coming down there. So quite a simple idea. So I've marked out the road for the tank and I've marked out the train line. So that's all really that the design is, just road and rail. Now, what I normally use is part of it, so just a plastic toy train kit that I had, and it's bigger than HO or 00 scale, but it's not 1/35 scale. The width of the rails is not big enough, not wide enough. So I made my own. And yes, you've guessed it, with 2mm cardboard. As we're not going to see much of it, I mean, the road is going to come up to this rail, that way and that way. These are just wooden boards between the rails at the crossing, and then just 2 or 3 sleepers either end. So it doesn't matter that it's cardboard really, and that's all it is, just a thin piece for the rail and these bits for the sleepers and then a piece in the middle for the crossing. So that will sit there. So we've got a rail and we've got the right dimension. I believe it's works out at 41 millimeters between the rails at 1/35 scale. So scale wise we're correct, so better than using this really. And then with the tank there. So this is going to be a cobbled area leading up to the crossing itself, and cobble this side, and then just a verge of some kind either side, and then we'll have the barriers and a sign or something. So that's basically what I shall do. I've cut a piece of polystyrene, 1 inch I think it is, 25 millimeters, and that will sit on there, and I'll put a border all the way around, stick that on there, and then I'll work out some kind of cobbled area there. So I'll go away and do that, and we'll come back and see if it looks any better. So I've laid my rail track down and put in my cobbled road. I had to make it level, level with the top of the track really, so that it's a smooth transition between the two parts of the road. So I with pieces of cardboard, just raised the areas up either side, so that gave me an area then to pour my, well, not liquid, but mixed tile grout, grey tile grout, and then just level it off with a steel ruler. Okay, and then starting just a few millimeters from the track, then I just marked out the shape of the cobbles. I've got to finish it off, got to put the stuff in between the cobbles yet, so that will look a little bit better, but that's basically the road and the track. So what we need now is the stuff between the train lines. I'll just do one section. What will I do? This bit. So with a bit of PVA glue in between there, like that, and then some gravel or sand in this case, and then just chip the excess off, and that will do for my ballast between the tracks, or between the sleepers rather. So that will cover that area there. And then for these three areas here, I know I keep bleating on about my watered down wall filler, or wall putty as they call it here, and then I can I can sculpt a side verge then on the road, so that will go all the way around there. I'll need a little bit more than I've got here, but I'll only do just a little bit to, in fact it's a little too watered down. I'm unable to sculpt it as it is, so I'm going to have to wait for that to dry before I can tease it up and make it into a side verge kind of finish. Okay, so I'll carry on putting my ballast in and my three side pieces, finish my cobble off, and do a bit. I need a little bit of black dry brushing on the rail. So I'll come back, and that will be the actual diorama. Then I just need two barriers and a sign or something. So I'll come back when I've finished all these small jobs and see what it looks like then. So I finished off putting the ballast between the sleepers on the rail line there, and gave it a bit of a black dry brushing. Makes it look a little bit authentic. And the road, I put a dark coloured grout, brushed a dark coloured grout, so that went in between the bricks, and then just brushed off with a damp sponge to reveal the grey bricks underneath, or the grey cobbles. So that's pretty much the train line and the road done. For the verges either side, I used wall filler, but not watered down, so straight from the pot, so I could sculpt whatever shape of uneven ground I wanted. And then painted that black, and then put these like a grass effect over the top. So what I shall do next is, I've got some dried pieces of grout. I'll crush these up, some of it into a fine powder, and some of it into small like brick pieces, and they will go either side of the road like that. And then a washing up sponge. So I've cut a washing up sponge into cubes, and you can even keep the green scouring side, keep that on because it's green and you want it to be green. So cut this up and put it into a liquidizer, that, you know, one of those things that a liquidizer, and it will turn out like that. It won't be that colour, so with a little bit of green paint with a little bit of water, and then just squiggle round like that for a minute or so, and it will you will get the colour that you want. But then you're tempted to squeeze the foam, but don't do that. Leave it wet, and you'll have to leave it out to dry. I mean, if you squeeze it, you'll squeeze the colour out. So just leave it to dry, and you'll have like a foliage. So I can put foliage now along the sides there of the diorama. Hope you're following all this. So I'll do that. That will complete then the diorama as such, and I'll come back and we'll just put the barrier gates, and that will finish the job. So I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so that's the train line and the road and the verge all done. Now we need 2 barriers across the road. So best thing to use, a pencil. If you can get round pencils, all well and good. Unfortunately, I couldn't. It's one of those hexagonal shaped things, but not to worry, because just cut off the rubber part there and cut off there, and by the time you've sanded the paint off to reveal the bare wood, you can sand off the sharp edges of the hexagon and make it into a round piece of wood. Are you with me? Paint it white and divide it up into 1-inch sections, and then just with one end on your chest, and just holding the paintbrush with red paint, just turn like that, and you'll get a reasonably good definition between the red and the white. But bear in mind this is World War II, and I don't think that they would be, I think they would have been hand painted rather than manufactured, the same as they would have been wooden poles rather than what they are made of today. And then a counterweight on the end. I've got to paint that black yet, so that will be the counterweight. And I doubt they were automatically operated. They would be hand cranked. So I've just got, where are we? I did have 2 pieces like that. That would be the upright to hold the barrier, and then 4 pieces in the middle like that, and that will then allow the barrier to sit down there like so, or like that one like that. Okay, and then for the hand crank, you could use a nut. I've just used, well, whatever that is. I just found it in my box of bits. Stick that on the end, and then cut up a cocktail stick for the handle, and that's a pretty good representation then of a hand cranked barrier. Okay, so I'll stick that about there, and that will be there, and then the other one the other side, and that will complete the whole thing. So I'll go ahead and do the other one, finish this one off, stick it all together, and we'll see what it's like when it's done. So the barriers are installed now, and the verges completed all the way around. We've got our own train line, 135 scale, 41mm gauge. I'm not sure, but I would think it will be quite difficult to find that gauge of train line. It's not a normal modeller's gauge, so maybe they're readily available, but I would imagine not. Okay, and we've got our barriers installed now, so we can turn. Well, they don't work, but we could turn those to lift the barriers. Okay, so just an idea. Rather than just your model vehicle standing on a plinth, it just makes it a little more interesting and more in keeping of the time. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell as usual, and you will be notified when new videos come along. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.